Hello health champions. Today we're going to talk about the easiest thing that you can do that might save your life. And I think this might be a little bit different than what you think. Plus, at the end, we're going to talk about how doing this thing could not only reduce your risk of heart disease and stroke, but it might even save you from cancer. What if there was something that you could do that could save you time, but actually take no time? What if it could save you money, but cost no money? There's nothing that you would have to buy. And if this thing might even save your life in the process. So here's what most people do, basically because we've been told to do it this way. They wake up, they have breakfast, then they have a mid-morning snack, then they have lunch, then they have an afternoon snack, then they have dinner, and then they have an evening snack. And we've been told to do this because it's supposed to be so good for us. And the only thing that you have to do is don't do what everyone else is doing. And you skip the snacks, and then you skip breakfast, and now you basically eat all the food you're going to eat in 2 meals. And obviously you can see how that would save you a lot of time because you don't have to spend the time making this stuff or eating the stuff. And it will also save you money because you don't have to spend money at so many different times. But how would this actually save your life? So we need to look at what people actually die from. And in the United States last year, there were 3.3 million total deaths from all causes, all different reasons. The number one was cardiovascular disease, 697,000. Cancer was 602,000. COVID-19 was 351,000. Accidents accounted for 201,000. Pneumonia was 153. Alzheimer's was 134,000 and diabetes was 102,000. Now I want to calculate the percentage of some of these and then we'll talk about that. So cardiovascular disease was 21%, cancer 18%, COVID 10%, Alzheimer's 4%, and diabetes 3%. And why am I putting percentages on these? Because they have something in common, including COVID-19, is that they are all caused, or a strong contributing factor is metabolic health. COVID-19, virtually all the deaths, the vast majority had comorbidities like cardiovascular disease and diabetes and high blood pressure. And what they all have in common is their metabolic disease. Now, if we add all that up, that's 56% of all deaths that are either directly caused or have a strong component of poor metabolic health. Now here's the problem, that if you do some reading on this, they're going to tell you that the number one cause here is obesity. And there's two problems with that, because first of all, obesity isn't the cause of anything. And secondly, there's a lot of obese people who are actually metabolically healthy, who have the same or close the same life expectancy and who don't have any of these problems. So what we need to understand is that it's really about something called hyperinsulinemia. That simply means chronically high levels of a hormone called insulin in the bloodstream. Now, why is it so important that we understand the difference? Why don't we just call it obesity? Because if we think that obesity causes disease, then we might go after the wrong thing. We may end up with some bad advice. So what we need to understand is that there is a type of overload. When we put more into the system, chronically put more into the system that it can process, then we end up with high levels of insulin, chronically high levels, and we end up with inflammation. And these are the actual causes. These are the causes of disease and, for the most part, the cause of obesity. So understanding this, we can go after the true cause and understand what the mechanism is and not think of the problem as obesity. So we want to take away this arrow that indicates causation. And when people don't understand the true mechanism, the true cause, then they come up with stupid advice such as this: watch your weight, right? They always tell you to treat the end symptom, like watch your weight, control your blood sugar, control your blood pressure. Well, they don't tell you how to do that. So you're going like, well, watch my weight. I'm doing that. I'm watching my weight and it's going up year after year. I need some tools, right? And the reason that they give you stupid advice like that is that they're stuck in a model called calories in, calories out. They think that if you just ate less and exercised more, then you'd be fine because that works for 1% of people. But what happens is you get some short-term results and then something kicks in called a set point. That's like a thermostat. Your body remembers where it's been. So if you cut down the calories and you expend more, after a little while your body says, hey, you know, this is stressful, this is dangerous. I want to get back to my set point. So it's going to lower your metabolism and you end up gaining the weight back. And one of the primary reasons that it's hard to change the set point is for the hormone insulin, because insulin is an anabolic hormone. It's a storage hormone. So when you have chronic high levels of insulin, it's going to tend to store more. It's going to build tissue. It's going to put on more tissue on your body. The other reason that calories in, calories out don't work is when you try to eat less for any extended period of time, when you have your 3 meals and your 3 snacks and you try to eat fewer calories, so you have a 100-calorie snack and you have a 300-calorie meal, which is green lettuce and dry chicken with no dressing, you never feel satisfied. There is no fun in eating. There is no reward. You always feel like, I would have liked to eat a little bit more. And how long can you really keep that up? Deprivation is not a lifestyle. Nobody can keep this up. And this is why calories in, calories out fail 99% of the time. But if you do what I suggested, you cut out the snacks, you cut out the breakfast, you shorten your feeding window, you eat twice a day, now you can eat rich, satisfying, rewarding food with more calories twice a day and still end up eating less. And now you don't feel deprived. This is something you can turn into a lifestyle. And there's 3 reasons this works. 3 things are probably going to happen. Number 1, you'll probably eat less calories because you only eat twice. That's not necessarily true because some people still eat the same number of calories in 2 meals, but it still works. Why? Because it is so potent, it's so powerful in reducing insulin. And then you change your set point, you change your fat burning, you change your metabolism. And the third thing that happens is that hunger goes away. Biggest reason that you get hungry is that you eat something. If I have breakfast, then I'm hungry by 11 or 12 o'clock. If I skip breakfast, I don't think about food until the afternoon. Hunger is a habit, and most people aren't even hungry in the morning when they wake up. They only eat because they think they're supposed to. But why is fasting so powerful? Even more powerful than low carb or keto? Because every time you eat, you stimulate insulin. Even if you just have a dab of butter, it's the tiny, tiny amount of insulin, but you still stimulate insulin. If you eat a high carb meal, then you stimulate a lot of insulin. It's like a batch of food coming in. You're going to have a batch of insulin to handle it. If you eat low carb, then there's going to be a much, much smaller batch of insulin. However, if you're fasting, if you're not eating any new food during that period of time, there is no batch. There's no new insulin produced. You're making a trickle of insulin just to maintain blood sugar levels for whatever the body is making for maintenance, but there's no batch of food coming in, so there's no batch of insulin. And therefore, insulin goes down even faster. Let me make it even simpler for you. So whenever you eat something, you're loading up the body. Think of it like loading up the pantry. You buy something, you stick it in the pantry. You eat something, you stick it into storage. And then if you go eat again, and you eat again, and you eat again, then you're going to overload. It's like the pantry. If you keep buying things and you never take anything out, the pantry is going to be overloaded. It's going to be congested. It's going to be stagnant. It's going to be old stuff in there because you never take anything out. When you fast, now you do the opposite. You unload. All right? It's as simple as that. You're taking stuff out of the pantry. So instead of overloading, all you're doing is you're allowing for a natural balance in the body between taking something out and putting something in and repeating that cycle. And I know this makes so much sense to you right now, but for a lot of you, in the back of your head, there's this nagging doubt. Well, I heard someone who said that they knew someone who said that it was dangerous, that if you don't eat, you won't have energy, you can't regulate blood sugar, you get hypoglycemia, and so forth. Well, here's what I want to show you, that there is one hormone to bring blood sugar down, but there are 4 hormones to bring it up. There's glucagon, adrenaline, human growth hormone, and cortisol. And they're all there to balance blood sugar. Now here's an interesting point. These 4 hormones are called counter-regulatory. So let's understand that word. Regulation means to bring something up or down. Regulation means both. But we have gone so far with regulating our blood sugar with eating that we think the only regulation of blood sugar is to bring it down. That's why insulin is called a regulatory hormone and the other 4 are called counter-regulatory, as if they didn't belong, as if that was some special case. But the reason we call that regulatory and the others counter-regulatory is that we have become a society. We've been trained to regulate our blood sugar, bringing it back up only by eating. We've been told to eat so many meals and so many snacks because when your blood sugar goes down, the only thing that can bring it back up is to eat. And that is so false. When you rely on that model, you're bypassing the wisdom of the ages that's built into your body that brings the balance back to the body of loading and unloading. But if you eat all the time, you put that completely out of commission. So we need to understand there's no such thing as counter-regulatory. There is only regulatory, balancing it up or down. And the body knows how to do both. And what they tell you to do, the 6 meals a day, unless you have an extremely high metabolism, some very favorable genetics, or you maintain very, very high activity levels, then 6 meals a day is dangerous. If you do that with a more or less sedentary lifestyle, maybe some exercise here and there, you are probably going to create a disease with that. It might take 20 years, it might take 50 years, but you will most likely be moving in that direction. And fasting is so much easier than most people realize. If you're sleeping 8 hours a day, then you're already fasting 8 hours every day. And it's so simple to stretch that to 10 or 12 or 14 hours. If you do it gradually, you won't even notice any change. And for a lot of people, this is enough to start reversing all these different conditions. Reversing metabolic disease, reversing type 2 diabetes, lowering the risk of cardiovascular disease and high blood pressure and stroke. And like I said, you can dramatically reduce your risk of any COVID-19 complications by becoming metabolically healthy and bringing your body back to balance. And all of this you can do with some very simple changes and you can maintain that as a satisfying lifestyle with intermittent fasting. And when I say a lifestyle, just some basic intermittent fasting, I'm talking about eating all your meals in an 8-hour window and fasting 16, or maybe eating all your meals in a 6-hour window and fasting 18 hours. And this can even reduce your risk of cancer, because cancer does have some metabolic components to it. But if you really want to start reducing the risk of cancer, then we will need to understand what causes it. What is this thing? So cancer is caused by genetic mutations, but these genetic mutations don't happen for no reason. These mutations are caused by toxicity. That's why they talk about smoking and carcinogens and pesticides. These are chemicals that cause mutations. Then that cancer cell is promoted by insulin, because insulin is an anabolic hormone. Insulin makes things grow. It promotes growth of things. And then it is fed by blood sugar, because cancer cells are much more dependent on glucose, on blood sugar for their energy than other cells of the body. Most other cells can switch pretty readily to burn fat, but cancer doesn't like fat, it likes sugar. And then that cancer has to be missed by your immune system, because you have killer T cells, you have macrophages, you have different cells in your body that fight cancer and that eliminate cancer many, many times during your lifetime. So there are 4 different factors that cause and promote a cancer. Now, what if there was one thing that could basically handle all of them? The toxicity, the insulin, the blood sugar, and that could boost the immune system. How amazing would that be? And now we're talking about therapeutic fasting. This is when you take it one step beyond just your everyday lifestyle thing. So this is a fast that lasts more than 2 days. And this has been proven to be so powerful that it can shrink some tumors, and it can do that rather quickly. And the mechanism is something called autophagy. This is something that happens when you fast a long time, because when you add fuel, when you add resources to the body has plenty of them. When you stop adding them, when you stop eating, resources become scarce. So now they become more valuable. And the body will start upregulating its recycling system. Everything in the body becomes more precious, and therefore your body is going to take better care of stuff. As a result, it goes out and it starts cleaning all the nooks and crannies looking for stuff. So this is a very powerful form of detox. And part of this recycling crew is your immune system, because guess what? Viruses and bacteria, they have protein in them. So the body makes more of these killer T cells, it makes more of these macrophages and immune cells, so it can go out and clean up better. And some of those things it cleans up are virus and bacteria. At the same time, fasting and autophagy is the most powerful way to bring down blood sugar, blood glucose, and to reduce insulin. So here we have all of those 4 factors that cause and promote cancer we can powerfully influence with a longer fast. So what we're talking about to get these benefits now is to do a 3 to 5 day fast a couple of times a year, or maybe 3 to 4 times a year. And I believe it is very, very safe for the vast majority of people. If you have a condition, if you feel that you're not very stable, then don't do this on your own. But if you have done the intermittent fasting as a lifestyle, if you sort of graduated from 14 to 16 to 18, maybe doing 1 meal a day, fasting 24 hours, then it's not that difficult to go into a 3-day fast. And what you do is you just pay attention to how you feel. If you don't feel great, break the fast. Get some electrolytes, make sure you drink plenty of fluids, you get some salt. Then when you've done a 3-day, next time you can do a 4-day, and next time you can do a 5-day fast, as long as you feel good. And I think this could be a powerful part of a health regimen. If you're just maintaining health, you're preventing disease, then this is fine. If you have a disease, if you have a condition and you like to do more, then I suggest that you get some supervision, you get some help by someone who is qualified and experienced and who does this sort of thing. If you enjoyed this video, you're going to love that one. And if you truly want to master health by understanding how the body really works, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell, and turn on all the notifications so you never miss a life-saving video.